In this lecture, we're going to deal with the issue of security and backup requirements and needs that you might have in your network. And security is the premium issue today because it is a concern in just about all areas of business practices and responsibilities that belong to protecting secrets and trade secrets, business practices, so that you can continue to have competitive edges to what you're doing as a business. A lot of times corporate espionage becomes a real issue in protecting trademarks and other information about new products and services that will be coming out in the future, and they're in development right now. And this is a continuous problem, but also the security of the system itself is of concern because just about every machine today in some way is vulnerable, and it's quite possible that you can get viruses of different types, and you can have compromises that you're just not unaware of. You're unaware of, and your machine may be using for purposes that you're not aware of it happening with your machine because it has some kind of virus on it, and it's using it as a relay point. So there's a lot going on here. There's a lot at stake here, and there's a lot that can be covered here. Since this is an introductory course, we're just going to get our arms around some things and get an idea about security in particular with an individual machine. And it's a vast subspace of information and ability where you can become an expert, and you can learn lots of things. A security expert has to know a lot about a lot of things in IT in order to be effective. Has to understand all kinds of things about information systems and how they work together. He has to know a little bit about just about everything in order to be very effective as an IT security professional. So beginning, let's talk about what are viruses, Trojan horses, and worms. Now viruses are really just little programs that run behind things or connected to things. They're often attached to files on your system, and they're little programs that run to sometimes just to interfere with other things going on, like to shut your machine down or to turn something on, and they usually are tied to some kind of event, some kind of thing that you or I do with our machine. It could be a particular date, for example. The date has to become the point in which the virus is turned on, like the Michelangelo virus, for example. The Michelangelo virus is initialized. It started working on Michelangelo's birthday, and that's when it was set up to do that. There's some famous viruses out there. The Melissa virus is another one that's been talked about, and all of these viruses are similar with each other in that their signatures, what they call their signatures, are very, very similar. The viruses will attach themselves to files, say at the kernel level, which is where we have our drivers and our daemons and our processes running in the background that the operating system handles. And these boot sector viruses and these kernel viruses that are attached at places where we can't directly get to, they're very hard to identify, and they're also very hard to get rid of once they are embedded in the in the kernel area. So don't feel like you've got to become an expert on viruses, of course, and that you have to understand exactly what they are and how they work. but I'm giving you a feel for what they do and what they are like. For example, there's a virus called the Israeli virus, a very famous virus. It is what we call, and get ready for the $50 words here, a polymorphic cryptographic virus. And what that means is, in very simple language, is it's a virus that can change itself, it can evolve, it can change, and uh, remanufacture itself, so to speak, over and over and over into many forms. That's what polymorphic means, many forms. And it's also able to take the code that it generates and reproduces about itself and encrypt it, making it very difficult for virus hunters and virus explorers, so to speak, people who break them down and learn how to fight them and learn how to deal with them, to find these viruses and to see what is inside of them because they're encrypted. Now, that is frightening to think of, but this Israeli virus is able to reduplicate itself and refashion itself millions and millions of times. That's how powerful it is. So that's the extreme virus there. Do we have lots of those now? Yes and no. We don't really know how many are out there or how many are being dealt with as we speak, but they are around. But most of the viruses that we encounter, you and I encounter on our machines, are not that sophisticated or that powerful. They are just viruses that antivirus software can fight. And that's why we have antivirus software, so that we can fight these surreptitious programs that get onto our machines and make them act in crazy ways, or also possibly create what's called a backdoor to our system. These backdoors are called rootkits, and they are oftentimes, again, at the kernel level, in the drivers, attached to drivers, or attached to daemons or processes running, or some file in the kernel at the kernel level. And you'll find that what this does is this provides a way for a hacker, someone who has placed the rootkit there, to come and use our system, our own machine, for some other purpose. And it allows them to revisit the machine, and also to take control of the machine, or to take control of parts of the machine that they need to use. Now again, are you dealing with that right now with your machine? It's a possibility. I don't want to scare you. There's nothing about me saying that you might be involved in some international plot because you got a rootkit implanted on your machine. That may or may not be the case, and I don't even mean to allude to that. But rootkits are definitely a part of the arsenal of hackers today. There's also the Trojan horse. I'm sure you've heard of that. Usually that is a game or something that looks innocent or looks like it's one thing, but it's another thing. And it is also implanted on your system by the way in which you react or respond. So if it's a game, you start playing the game, and at some point in the game, the secondary package, the virus that's enclosed in this Trojan horse, and then downloads itself to your machine, and you don't even realize that it's taking place because you're playing the game, or you're involved with the resources that have been sent to you, the little software program that they've given you for free, and then in the background they are downloading a virus. That's a Trojan horse. If you saw the movie The Net with Sandra Bullock in it, she had a Trojan horse on her machine, and she dealt with the issue of a virus that could affect millions of machines across the country and compromise them. There's also worms. That's a type of virus that's able to replicate itself from machine to machine. And the ability to duplicate itself over and over and over and over again, and spread from machine to machine is what a worm is about. So use antivirus software. That's a very important part of this, something that you need to have on your system. It's similar to anti-spyware. Spyware, again, it's not really a virus as much as it is a reconnaissance software piece. It's supposed to gather information about your surfing habits, spy on your activities as you surf the net, or even what you're doing when you're not online. They can be quite sophisticated. They're very prevalent, and it's not unusual for you to have spyware on your machine because you've been on the internet. The other thing to be concerned with is backup and restore procedures. Even at our level, our personal level, with our personal devices, our home machines, or the machines we use at work, it's great to have more than one copy of something. And this is a good procedure, a good practice, is to back up whatever is important in your work or in your life, in your personal life. You want to have more than one copy. So have backup procedures so that you can restore things should something happen to your machine or should something happen to your data. You can have backup software that you can purchase. A lot of times if you buy an external hard drive, it will have its own form of backup software on it so that it will back up your machine automatically or at times that you request it to do so. And that's a great idea. You can physically back it up by moving things onto the external hard drive yourself, and that's a great way to do it. Don't always leave your external hard drive, I should say, attached to your machine, because it can also get damaged by electrical impulses that might be racing through your machine and right into the external hard drive. So it's a good practice to every now and then to remove the external hard drive and keep it separate from the computer that you're working on. Keep in mind that there are boot and recovery disks. Now they used to make these available with every machine that you bought. You got a CD, every computer you bought, every laptop that you bought, it came with its own CD, which had a system restore and recovery disk. So keep in mind that you need to save these and you need to know where they are. And it might be good if you just went and made a system restore disk by going to the websites at the companies that you've purchased your machine through and asked them to either mail you a system restore disk or you create one yourself, and they'll show you how to do that. And you can put it on a CD that can read and write to it, and that way you can have it available should your system go down. Now tech shops, of course, know how to do this as well and know how to erase your hard drive and start from the beginning again and do all that. But again, you don't want that to happen necessarily. It would be damaging to you if you didn't back up the information you have on your hard drive, as well as keep the resources for system restore and anything to do with a recovery disk so that you can repair your machine perhaps on your own. Again, a good working relationship with a tech is a great thing to have, because he can keep you out of the woods a lot of times by telling you what to do and showing you some shortcuts and professional ways to handle your information so that it's kept in good working order. So I think this is useful for you and me to realize that security is something that we have to take a responsibility for too when it comes to information systems. We have to look at our own security needs with our own machines, as well as what the workplace needs where we work. what they expect from us, and what they hope we will consider doing. Don't keep your passwords lying around and making them easy to discover. Don't do any of those types of things where it's quite simple for people to get information to compromise your system with. A lot of times, the weakest point is internal, inside the business, inside the company. That is where the weakest links can sometimes be found when it comes to security, as well as corruption of data or destruction of data. So I hope this has been helpful for you and not just educational in how you understand security, IT security in particular, and backup and recovery issues. So thank you for your attention again, and talk to you soon. Bye.